The COVID-19 pandemic has turned our attention to the immune system. It's our body's defense against potentially harmful bacteria, viruses, and other organisms that we may encounter every day. But what exactly is our immune system and how does it help guard our bodies? Today, we'll talk about the body's natural barrier and the role vaccines play in protecting us against diseases. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez. Our goal here on the program is to help you better understand the care you need and deserve. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines. Some of the common things we know about maintaining good health is to eat healthy, exercise regularly, get enough sleep, and take your vitamins daily. But are these enough to maintain a strong and healthy immune system? Our guests will help us discover more about this today. Let's welcome Dr. Annelyn Reyes, who's a pediatric infectious disease specialist and assistant professor from the UST Faculty of Medicine and Surgery. Also joining us is Dr. Fatima Joanna Santos Ocampo. She's a pediatric and adult immunology specialist from the Asian Hospital and Medical Center, as well as the Makati Medical Center. Due to the Omicron variant's transmissibility, it may seem like getting it is inevitable. And because of this, some people may want to take matters into their own hands by deliberately infecting themselves with COVID-19 just to get it over with. So, should you try to get infected? The short answer is, of course, no. Dr. Joni, please explain to us why.
Well, first of all, why are they thinking that they should be infected, I think there's that belief that if you get infected, it's just a mild infection and you will get your immunity from that. That is not true because even the latest variant, the Omicron, is not mild. People could die from that. May namamatay. Kaya lang, dahil nga sa mga developments, a lot more people got vaccinated. Actually, there's more evidence that because of the increasing vaccination, that actually makes the infection nowadays among those na nabakunahan milder. Okay, so the disease is not mild, but it's what we have done so far over the past 2 years that is helping us.
Now, to understand immunity in general and immunity to COVID-19, we must first understand how a virus works. Dr. Yen, could you please tell us more about this?
Immunity is our body's capacity to resist harmful organisms. There is this active immunity wherein our body itself produces the antibodies against the virus or the organisms itself. So we can have this active immunity when we have the disease itself, wherein we will produce antibodies, or we can have this active immunity when we are injected through vaccine. Because when we are given the vaccine, they will give us the attenuated or the weakened form of the virus itself, like the measles virus, for example. It will be injected to us, and then our body will produce the antibodies or the soldiers of the body. So that is active immunity.
Let's talk about yung palagi pinag-uusapan ngayon, natural immunity, which is the antibody protection your body creates against, in this case, a virus once you've been infected. Now, natural immunity varies per person and depends as well on the infection. But, Doc Joni, could you explain a little bit more on how natural immunity actually bolsters a person's natural immune system?
When you look at the immune system, it's very complex, it's very beautiful actually, and wonderful kasi it was designed well to protect humans. Now, the natural immunity, if we touch on that, actually there are different arms of the immune system. Meron tayong tinatawag na adaptive immune system, may innate immune system. So part of that protection that we get, let's focus on the virus, actually both arms are working, and there are other parts of it that are also working. They help each other. Now, yung nakikita nating immunity na sinasabi natin sa antibodies, this is part of the adaptive immunity. Yan. So, tama, ang tendency if mataas ang antibodies natin, may assumption tayo na mataas rin yung neutralizing antibodies. Yan yung specific na antibodies na nagka-capture at nagpumapatay sa ating virus,
Ang isang tao na nahawa with COVID-19, hindi siya bakunado, nahawa siya with COVID-19 at gumaling. She now has the antibodies for COVID-19. Kailangan pa ba niyang magpabakuna or should they be confident na hindi ko na kailangan ng vaccine or booster dahil gumaling na ako sa COVID-19?
Like for example, ang tao, mahawa siya ng COVID. So naturally, as mentioned, the natural response natin, nag-produce siya ng antibodies. So meron siyang anti-COVID antibodies. However, studies have shown na yung anti-COVID antibodies niya wouldn't last long. Usually, ang ibang studies, mga 2 to 3 months lang. Although this coronavirus kasi it is called a novel virus, it is a new virus, so ongoing lahat ng mga studies. Pero yung mga latest studies niya, yung antibody protection mo with natural infection is even less than the antibody protection with vaccination.
Although most people with COVID-19 get better within weeks, some may experience post-COVID symptoms. Post-COVID conditions are a wide range of new, returning, or ongoing health problems people can experience 4 or even more weeks after being infected. Even people who didn't have symptoms at first can have post-COVID symptoms. Dr. Yen, pag-usapan natin ng some symptoms na ito. What are some of the more common ones na nakikita ninyo?
Yes, so maraming mga cases reported in journal na may mga long COVID. So it sometimes occur in 10 to 20% of persons who have the disease itself. So yung most common nila is yung persistent cough. So tumatagal yung cough nila. Sometimes it can occur more than 2 to 3 months. Or ang iba, loss of smell, loss of taste. Ang iba talaga, tumatagal yung loss of smell. Even doctors, they even complain that they have loss of smell for even 3 months. So usually, long COVID occurs within 3 months from the onset of illness, and it sometimes lasts for 2 months, and it cannot be explained with other diagnoses. So other symptoms ng lost COVID, meron silang forgetfulness, ang iba confusion, ang iba memory loss, ang iba loss of mental focus.
Dr. Joni, can anyone develop long COVID, even young, healthy people?
Well, long COVID, we're still studying that kasi yan yung mga symptoms that persist 3 months and more. So, nauna ang vaccinations, nauna, more exposed yung mga adults natin. So, we have seen a lot more COVID in the adults. So, there are more studies sa kanila, no? But yes, now we're seeing as as time went by, meron rin tayo nakikitang long COVID kahit na sa mga bata. So, hindi rin exempted, no? Kahit na younger.
Now, COVID-19 vaccines are a safe and effective tool in protecting us from the virus. But we should still continue to follow safety protocols. We'll learn more about vaccines and booster shots when we return. We're your connection to healthcare. You're watching MedTalk Health Talk. The COVID-19 vaccine can prevent you from becoming seriously ill or dying due to the virus. But how do different types of vaccines work? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk. We're together in health. The COVID-19 vaccine causes the immune system to create antibodies to fight off the virus. Dr. Joni, could you explain how our bodies fight illnesses?
The immune system really is the main thing. Pag halimbawa, some reason na nakapasok, na inhale mo, katulad ng mga viruses na yan, coronavirus, na pumapasok sa loob ng ilong, sa mata, then you also have on the surface of the insides of mga orifices, yung mga may natural antibiotics tayo dyan, no? Part of our innate defense systems. Okay? And then, more than that, pagka deeper into the surface, kunyari sa ilong or sa lungs, meron rin tayo dyan yung mga cells natin. Andyan na magsisimula yung mga immune cells natin. So, dyan, ito na yung mga kung saan nadedetect yung mga viruses, ng tinatawag natin mga macrophages, tapos makikilala sila, tapos dadating yung, pwede silang write off, pwede na silang makain ng macrophage, no? At ma-destroy. Or, yung macrophage pwedeng i-present sila dun sa ibang immune cells, no? Yung mga tinatawag nating T cells and B cells. Yun naman, pag napakita sila doon, madedetect sila ngayon ng mga cells na yon, uy, mga kalaban to. So kailangan nating mag-produce ng pwedeng antibodies against them. So yan ang tinatawag nating adaptive immune system. And then, nare-retain ngayon yan, may memory. So itong mga to, hindi lang papatayin nila at that time, but they also remember. So that if, let's say, nag-recover ka na, no, nabatay lahat yung virus, the next time na encounter mo siya uli, meron na nakahanda ng mga B cells ready to produce yung antibodies for that particular virus or bacteria. So that's how the immune system works. Iba-ibang layer siya.
Now, the COVID-19 vaccines help our bodies develop immunity to the virus that causes COVID-19 without getting sick. Now, different types of vaccines work in different ways to offer protection. But with all the types of vaccines, the goal is for the body to remember how to fight off the virus in the future. Now, currently, there are different forms of the vaccine available for us here in the Philippines. Dr. Yen, during the earlier parts of the pandemic, the slogan was always the best vaccine is the one that is in front of you. Does that still hold today?
Yes, it is still true. Because the best vaccine is still the one that is in your arm. There are 4 types of major COVID vaccines, and we also have that in the Philippines. So number 1, we have the mRNA vaccines, that is the genetically engineered vaccines, and it prompts our immune system to produce antibodies. So examples for that are the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines. They are mRNA. Another vaccine that we have here is the viral vector vaccine. So this viral vector, the uses of a virus or like the adenovirus, which is a carrier to bring the vaccine, to bring the antigen to the body. An example for this is the AstraZeneca. We have that here, the Sputnik and the Janssen and Johnson and Johnson. So we also have this inactivated vaccine, wherein the virus itself, the coronavirus, is inactivated or attenuated or slightly mutated. And then once they're inactivated, they are injected to our body, and our body will produce antibodies against that. So examples for that is the Sinovac or the Sinopharm. And then there are also protein vaccines wherein they just use protein subunits, and example for that is Novavax.
Booster shots are now given at least 3 months after the second dose of a primary 2-dose vaccine, or at least 2 months after the primary single-dose vaccine is given. Dr. Yen, when it comes to booster shots, importante na ba ito? Kumbaga, kailangan ba ito? Because unfortunately, a lot of our kababayans forgo the booster shot, settling with just their primary series.
Yes, it's very true that a booster shot is really needed. And in fact, I also had myself a booster shot because I realized it's important. So studies have shown that the COVID vaccine, so since I mentioned that COVID is novel and it is new, there are still new studies for that. However, they already released that studies that with your COVID vaccination, it is called the primary, you have your 2 shots. Like for example, when you have your Pfizer vaccine or AstraZeneca, you have your 2 shots already. So there are already studies that after 4 to 6 months, the antibodies already wane. So bumababa na yung antibodies natin. So we need the booster shot to increase again the antibodies. So that's why in the Philippines, we already avail of the booster shots to increase the antibodies and to protect ourselves more.
Now, preventing COVID-19 is important, but preventing other diseases that affect people globally is just as vital. Vaccines help protect all of us from serious fatal illnesses. Dr. Jody, pag-usapan natin yun. Aside from this, what are some of the reasons why our viewers should get vaccinated for other diseases as well?
Specific yung vaccines, remember, no? Talagang targeted yan. So, hindi pwede maiwan. Marami tayong mga diseases na importante na ma-protect tayong lahat, no? The ones na usual sa mga bata, tuloy pa rin yan. Hindi dapat makalimutan. So one of the more common ones na pati sa adults, yung flu vaccine. Kasi nga, ang reason nga nagka-flu vaccine is for us to be protected from the deadly, serious, severe flu. That's why we do it. At nag-mutate yan, ano? So that's why every year, we use a different one. So that's why hindi siya one shot. You have to have it yearly. So hindi dapat maiwan yan. So lahat ng mga ibang illness hindi naman nawala nung nagkaroon ng coronavirus, di ba? So nandyan pa rin sila. At saka pag nag-open up na tayo, God willing, we'll be walking again among other people, pwede na naman tayo mahawa. So hindi pwede wala tayong protection. So we still have to continue. And we do tell everyone to please have your regular vaccinations still.
Getting vaccinated doesn't mean you won't get infected, but it significantly lowers the risk for severe illness as well as death. When we return, we'll talk about how to discern health misinformation or the infodemic. Your health is our mission. This is MedTalk Health Talk. We'll be right back. We are all exposed to a vast amount of COVID-19 information daily, but not all of it is true as well as reliable. How can we tell the difference? I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and you're watching MedTalk Health Talk, where your care always comes first. As humans, we are very curious. We want to understand the world around us and stay up to date to the challenges we face. One of the ways we do this is by seeking out and sharing new information. But not everything you see may be accurate. This is called the infodemic, a flood of information on the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Yen, can you give us some tips on how to identify misinformation?
So for us to prevent misinformation, you have to be very sure that we have to check all the sources. So we have to check all the reliable sources, like those who can vouch for its integrity, like the World Health Organization, the Philippine Pediatric Society, the PMA site. We can also check the Centers for Disease Control, and there is also the American Academy of Pediatrics, and we also have to check for reputable journals. So whenever we see journals also, we also have to recheck if it is peer-reviewed. Because sometimes journals are written, but it has to be peer-reviewed. Other peers should also check it, like other doctors should also check if it's valid or not. So someone should validate it. So all other scientists and other doctors should peer-review a journal. And we have to be sure that what we are reading and what we are saying are true.
But Dr. Joni, for the person having something peer-reviewed, maybe not be so common for them to search for, to look out for. Sometimes mas importante, nangyari sa kakilala ko to, therefore naniniwala sila. Why is this a case? Why is it sometimes so easy for some people to believe certain things even when it may be dangerous for them?
There are many things, no? May mga historical reasons, no? Like, let's take COVID. Kasi COVID is the first time in our history, no, of man na ganito kabilis ang development ng vaccines. So, it's the first time we're seeing it. We're questioning it. Kasi nga, parang wow, it used to take mga 7 years or even up to 15 years before a vaccine is fully certified na yan, safe, bibigay na natin sa lahat. So, medyo nagugulat ang mga tao, hindi sanay. So, naki-question, di ba? So, normal naman yon. Pero syempre, ang totoo, di ba, matagal na yung teknolohiyang yan. That's like at least 20 years old. They've used that in the original SARS-CoV. They use that in MERS. Hindi lang nagamit kasi hindi naman na-spread yung mga sakit na yon, no? Hindi katulad ng SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19, hindi siya masyado nakakamatay. Kaya tumagal siya. So now we're discussing the vaccine. And then also, yung mga side effects na naririnig, no? Minsan, narinig ng pinsan nung kamag-anak ni ganito, si kapitbahay, or narinig nila sa iba sa social media. So, ang social media kasi, useful siya, pwede rin siyang kalaban kung nagsispread tayo ng misinformation.
Thank you, Pediatric Infectious Disease Specialist Dr. Annalyn Reyes and Immunology Specialist Dr. Fatima Joanna Santos Ocampo. We all have a role to play in this pandemic, from getting vaccinated and following health protocols to making sure we receive and share the right and accurate information. All of these can save lives. And as we navigate the wave of information we have, it's best that we know who and what to trust. We want to be your partner for a lifetime of good health. I'm Dr. Freddy Gomez, and this is MedTalk Health Talk on CNN Philippines.